good afternoon, rather. I got a special treat for you. Since it went so well last night, I figured I'd go ahead and use a little text to speak thing and give you a little bit more background stuff to use for you Dragonlance. Like I said, I'm going blind. A lot of this material was stuff that I came up with several years ago. A lot of it is second edition material. I'm just now getting around to assembling it. Like I said, I had to go back, research some of it, and bits and pieces, like I said, are off. Pez mentions Flame Strike. He's probably talking about Pyrite, which was the gold dragon that Fizban was uh, associated with. But anyway, that's not important. I'm going to go ahead and run this one called Everything But the Minotaurs. Okay? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put it on this right here. Let me see what this thing does here. Hold on just a second here, guys. Yeah, here we go. Alright. And if I'm thinking correctly, let me just go ahead and let it get it to read aloud.
Tasslehoff reached in his pocket and pulled out a little box that held a small gold tooth. Oddly enough for a Kender, he'd always kept this personal trinket for sentimental value. Kender lose things, so for one to keep something over an extended period of time, it has to be special because gold is worthless on Kryn as currency. This particular gold tooth belonged to a friend, another Kender. Of all the Kenders he'd known throughout his life, Pez, Burrfoot certainly was the oddest little member of his race that Reorcs had ever rolled a grey gem over, and that's saying something compared to Tars. Tasslehoff naturally gets a little choked up, but he remembers his friend being described as Reorcs' own prototype, by a gnome from MT, never mind. Tars chuckled to himself as he knew maybe that was stretching it a bit. Paz was sometimes a silver drawer short of a spoon, and not because his run off with it being a Kender. Boopu the gully dwarf could sometimes count better than Pez, but Tars didn't have a leg to stand on either because Kender always embellish or exaggerate a statistic just to make it sound interesting. *****. I'll tell ye Tars, we be right me ba. Sure as they scales on a dragon's hide. I seen that wizard turn hisself into a bee just so he could light up on the privy there out back to get himself a look at Widow Dobbin's moon. Paz stopped and pushed on his gold bridge and winked. He wasn't shy of displaying his bridge other than it replaced the tooth he had lost while riding a red dragon who, unconscious and wounded, plunged 1,000 feet into a canyon and crashed into a tree, killing the dragon, but Paz somehow survived. Eyes missing me tooth. Petsa needs me tooth to chew in it. But them gnomes at Mount Nevermind, they made me tooth again shine like the scales of old Flamestrike herself. Naturally gold had no value on Kryn other than things besides currency. Nobody was gonna stick their fingers in this Kender's mouth and steal it off him. Eyes bite ya finger off if ye try, me ba, he. Of course Paz would actually take it out and dump it into a belied person's hand often, even if they didn't necessarily ask to see it. Tasslehoff recalled a dwarf named Glade that Tannis and Flint knew that would pop a fake glass eye out of his head and hand it to people just to watch their reaction. I wonder if he changed himself back. I heard Groman the dwarf yell and smack a wasp that he said stung him in the privy the other day. Hey, that wizard's been gone a couple days. Tasslehoff rubbed his little chin thoughtfully. What if Groman accidentally snuffed him? That's terrible. Unfortunate and terrible. In fact, I wonder if that magic ring he had, that he angrily accused us of trying to steal, which we absolutely did not, when we borrowed his hatchet so we could get firewood to make dinner and dry out our clothes from trying to get this mean dog to catch ducks. Tasslehoff continued. At the foot of the bench a rather belligerent and worn hunting dog of indeterminable breed barked and snuffled at the Kender indignantly before settling back to gnawing on a piece of gristle and bone thrown out from the bar to keep it quiet. I don't think we were throwing the dog up high enough to catch the ducks, Pez. Tasslehoff looked rather sheepishly at the dog and knelt down to pet it while balancing on the bench, only to be viciously growled and barked at until he backed off. Ale sloshed from his tankard as he balanced like an acrobat, possibly slightly inebriated. Tars smoothed his topknot after taking another gulp of his ale. We could have loaded a gully dwarf into a sling and maybe shot him high enough to grab the ducks, but if he misses that duck he might get mad and bite us worse than the dog will. Tars insisted. He don't want to wear the parachute we made neither. He rolled himself right up in it and went to sleep. Paz yawned as he glanced toward a small mass covered in a thick dirty patchwork sheet, snoring under the bench loud enough for people to realize it wasn't a dog. It was their sleeping gully dwarf companion Fooge. Fooge * has very limited role in this story except to eat, shit, and sleep. It sure is terrible, Tars, me ba. Paz clucked his tongue sorrowfully and rubbed his own head. Unlike Ancelonian Kender. Paz had the ears, but not the top knot. His hair was short, black and curly like a fine wool. He was termed an island Kender, although among other races who despise Kender anyway, it meant little other than his skin was a little darker than Tasslehoff's, and Tars had somewhat the benefit of a formal, remember we are talking Kender here, education, with his parents studying the plainsman in his youth and learning how to read and write maps. Paz had his own set of skills, so much that Tars found it complemented his own skills when the two adventured together. Paz was from an island not that far from Taladas. He could ride, fly, swim and climb just about anything and had a pretty good margin of survival either to dumb Kender luck, or he really was that talented. They often called him Paz, or Pez, or Pest, depending on the Kender he was around. Paz had a distinct accent which put his pronunciations of words and descriptions at a whole new level. Some were lucky enough to even comprehend what he said, as Paz, like all Kender, tended to be all over the place. It was at a roadside tent tavern in southern Urgoth, or was it north? No matter, as it was maybe a few years after the War of the Lance. As to where the bar was is not important, so much as what it was called, the But and Balls, named aptly such for the rough-hewn non-sanded split-wood benches on which the customers could lean against the bar, the problem however risking painful splinters in your backside, forcing most people to stand. The two Kender had the advantage of being so small they could stand up on the benches, putting their heads just enough above the bar to talk to the bartender. A lot of a Kender's problem is that they are so little, it's hard for a human to notice them and make eye contact when they just see a topknot and a voice below them squeaking out requesting an ale. Paz and Tasslehoff were sipping ales from dented tankards and stood on a bench while drunken patrons just ignored them nonchalant, having a very amicable conversation. Paz and Tars had just finished discussing the time that Paz wrangled a sea beast and rode it into a Minotaur slaver's atoll, when the giant behemoth sent a tsunami crashing into their atoll and sank it like a flagon going into dirty dishwater. The subject then drifted to a local enchanter who somehow disappeared a few days ago and had been accused of being a peepin' Tom. "'Sis a crying shame, Tars me ba, that Magi man being the last thing he sees after being knocked into the privy. OL Gromud his ugly pimpered dwarf arse a set tin down to let his squirrel go, and that fella done changed himself to a bee, and got sunk in the shitter. Maybe if he'd magicked into a butterfly." The two Kender were discussing this rather candidly as behind them near the outhouses a horrified crowd was gathered a few yards down from the privies to avoid the smell. The body of an unfortunate soul was being lifted with a rope around its neck whilst the worker retching and vomiting as another quickly began piling dirt to absorb the refuse left in the wake of digging him out of the hole. One of the patrons in the wee hours of the morning went out to do their business, and discovered to their horror a human who had inexplicably gotten himself stuck under the outhouse pit. The guards were called and Tars and Pa had just arrived that morning with the dog and the gully dwarf loaded into a wheel cart. The cart got impounded quickly, and probably destroyed as the Kender left it sitting in the middle of the road, stopping only long enough to wring out their wet clothes from an earlier excursion to the marshes. Paz spotted a beer tent, and despite the overpowering smell of shit and barbaric seating options, the two Kender rolled the snoring cocooned gully dwarf out of the cart and across the grass to wait in the tent. The morning late summer humidity increased the smell by tenfold, but Paz told Tasslehoff, we drink in the wee morning, to the sun coming up, me ba. The dog edged past them as if it didn't care and barked at one of the patrons in recognition, as they had purchased the dog locally and it seemed to be a common sight around the tent anyway. The bartender didn't seem to mind Kender, as most of his patrons that were not already inebriated had left the tent to gawk outside at the commotion. The Kenders had steel. Whether it was stoled steel is another matter entirely, oddly enough. They were 2 tankards in at 10 o'clock in the morning, standing on rough-hewn benches and working on a third if the smell of shit on the morning breeze would subside. No way, even if Gromand was mad at the fella, would he been able to cram a grown man into that shitter past the seat. I guess you or me could fit theirselves in there if they had to hide. Although, the Kender began chuckling at the odds Gromand had caught the peeper and stuffed him down the loo merely for the visual of the angry dwarf, with his breeches round his knees and his big balls swinging and that but far tin, and two tin, as he angrily drowned them in the privy. Paz and Tars nodded as they fancied themselves detectives, on the matter to speculate as to how the enchanter came to an unfortunate end. They had first found the body, actually Paz did on his way to the privy himself, but you know how Kender get distracted. He seen a hand sticking out of the muck of the dark hole with a ring. A lady had asked for it as he come out of the privy and he traded it for a few steel pieces. After all, the lady said, "Would this not be the right time for a beer?" Paz couldn't quite remember her face. It was all fuzzy, but after she said it he somehow felt really thirsty, and so it seemed like a fair trade. So the Kenders had speculated, but no clue as to how the method. Other than he had possibly died while polymorphed into a wasp, no rings were found. At least that's what the Kenders overheard from an angry constable, who said, "Find it. He's not got it on him." The other guards laughed as they weren't too quick to go digging in shit to inquire further. "You'd have to have a magic ring for that," Tasslehoff added. "I definitely have experience with those." The Kender looked back behind him away from the tent and outhouses towards a field with a cottage and an old windmill. In the distance a dilapidated stone keep loomed over the whole thing rather glumly, interesting enough to a Kender though. "He stayed in one of them cottages over there," Paz added. "You seen him when we came in 2 days ago. We pitched our tent and borrowed his hatchet for some firewood en kindlin. Paz shook his head. "He met his end of swirling down the shitter, probably where his ring is at too, if he had one." It seemed, however, oblivious to everyone else. Only the Kenders were right to speculate on the truth. They already knew what happened. But who is going to listen to a Kender? Especially two who choose to get drunk instead of sleeping at this hour of the morning. 2 soggy Kenders, a soggy irritated mutt, and a sleeping gully dwarf are expected to solve a bizarre death? Did he make the mistake of taking the ring off while hiding in the privy? Tasslehoff took another swallow of ale as Paz did the same and burped loudly. A late summer breeze hit the tent, only amplifying the smell of shit mixed with alcohol and wood smoke. One drunk at another table who was brave enough to sit down on the rough-hewn benches cut a fart. It was only when he reached down to scratch his behind that a stray splinter reprimanded him for his rudeness. "I didn't get a chance to ask Gromand since we've been back." Tasslehoff shrugged. "I remember asking him about the bee stinging him as we came into town. He looked at me funny and told me that my parents were the reason siblings shouldn't." At that moment the tent flap came back, followed by the overpowering smell of shit. "Hey Gromand. Good morning. We were just talking about..." Tasslehoff exclaimed excitedly. He was cut short by the overpowering sensation of being lifted off his feet as an extremely angry dwarf covered head to toe in what must have been related to the disgusting predicament in the first place. "I groms. What ye covered in shit?" Paz grinned stupidly. The dwarf narrowed his eyes and a hissing like a snake escaped his lips with a surly growl. The smell of shit started to intensify and Tasslehoff looked to see what he perceived fumes coming off the dwarf's forehead smeared with shit and grime, as he angrily started to simmer and wickedly leered at the 2 Kender. He angrily swatted Paz's flagon of ale out of his hand, sending it flying despite the Kender's taunts he was rude, and insisted he would be paying for another one if he acted like that. "Yeah, we seen a ring." "Maybe, but she give us a steal if she could use that privy, and I couldn't deny a lady the right way, no. She was bigger than me. She could pick one of us up and fit us down that privy hole." Paz nodded at Tasslehoff. "Just like you told me about your lady friend Kitiara. You don't deny a lady a chance to use the privy in privacy. That's just rude, B.A.?" Paz shrugged innocently as if it meant nothing. "I will fit you down that damned privy hole. Where did you 2 little shits stash that ring you found on that hedge wizard?" The dwarf began to vibrate angrily as the tent began to fill up with the constable and his men. "I stashed it up me butt." Paz taunted, obviously offended that the dwarf wasn't going to buy him another ale. "Mayhap ye do like a dwarf do and look up me bunghole and see if YA find me lost DA up there as well. Take a lamp, as it's dark and smelly just like that privy you just went wallowing around in." It's improved ye scent, sweet gromand, like a bouquet of flowers ye smell ye do. Paz. Tasslehoff rolled his eyes and sighed all the way to his topknot. He straightened his dirty, but certainly cleaner than the dwarf's, jerkin, and finished his ale. Did you give that lady that ring, the ring they are looking for? Nope, Paz grinned. I stashed it up me butt. Heard once a fiend had the idea to make a planar key by tooting a fart and he stash his stuff away in another demiplane. Nobody ever find it. Planar key? The dwarf looked confused. What the hell is a planar key? Yeah, Tasslehoff brightly said. What is a planar key, Paz?
Yeah. What you think, y'all? Pretty cool, huh? Oh, let's see if we rolling and rolling, okay? Hold on just a second here, guys. I'm going to look here. If I can hear, if this thing talks back to me, we'll know. Oh, shit. I don't even have my damn, well, that ain't going to work. I'm just checking, guys. Hold on just a second.
He said. What is a planar key, Paz?
There we go. All right, guys. We're good. Okay. Now then, that's one. Okay, I got another one. I'm getting ready to roll another one here. Okay. Everything with the Minotaurs, and let me edit the stream info. And then we're going to call this one. I don't know how well this one's going to play out. It should play out okay. We'll just roll it and see how it does, or how the auto thing reads it out. We'll see. Okay, just give me just a second here, guys, to get my shit together here. This is going to take just a second. Okay, let me close that out for just a second. We're still going. I'm still here, hopefully. All right, hold on just a second here, guys. Give me just a second. All right, let's get my shit together here. All right, let me pull this up. All right, I think we're okay. That's that one okay. We're good. Rocking and a rolling, rocking and a reeling, Baba ran. Okay. Guys, we rolling, we going, we good. Yeah. All right. All right, hold on just a second here, guys. There it is. Cool. All right, hold on just a second here, guys. Let me pull this up.
Astrid Morris Trapspringer. Kendamate Engineer Atinka 1 ST Class Asterisk, Cleric 6th level, and Hilo Ambassador to Bala 4 and all of Abyssinia secondary skills, Acrobat, Alchemy and Math, Botany, age, 19, 40, height, 4 feet 0 inches, precisely. She checked. Only if she stands on her tips of her feet like so can she squeeze an inch star. Hair, blonde eyes, green STR, 10 dex, 19 con, 60.
Let's see if let's try it. We'll do a different voice. Do a different voice. Okay. I think this one sounds like a little kid, but I don't know. We'll try. Might have to run it back a bit.
16 and 50. Kendamate. Astrid Morris Trapspringer. Kendamate Engineer, Tinker 1 ST Class Asterisk, Cleric 6th level, and Hilo Ambassador to Bala 4 and all of Abyssinia secondary skills, Acrobat, Alchemy and Math, Botany, age 19, 40, height 4 feet 0 inches, precisely. She checked. Only if she stands on her tips of her feet like so can she squeeze an inch star. Hair, blonde eyes, green STR, 10 dex, 19 con, 60 INT, 15 WIS, 17 CHA, 13 HP, 29 AC, 6. Birthplace, the moons. It's a long story funny, but when her mama tells it is so boring, so she prefers to talk of other things. YA. Current residence, Burrfoot Common, a suburb of Kendamore, but grew up in northern Urgith, Hilo, at the gnomish Kenda Academy of Strange and Wonderful Things with her friends the elves and gnomes. It is silly place, YA. Silly but serious in that we will change the world someday for the better of all life of KRYNN. Astrid de Morris is the daughter of de Morris Metwinger and Trapspringer Burrfoot. She was born at the very end of the War of the Lance, although not on KRYNN. Her father had brought a very pregnant de Morris back with him from one of KRYNN's moons, and the child was born literally as a spelljamming ship crashed into the lower atmosphere, settling in the exact same place as a historic landmark, and comically crushing an absolute tyrant in the process, hence liberating Hilo once again to rise as a nation. De Morris grew up spoiled but extremely well educated due to her insatiable curiosity to improvise and improve on things to make life easier, or the simple joy of discovery. She is impulsive, impatient, sometimes arrogant, but never overbearing to the point of being unlikable. She is a Kendamaid capable of building and combining all sorts of wondrous magical contraptions and gadgets due to being an engineer. Often her gadgets are rude. Goldberg mousetrap-type machines that serve little function as a mere novelty but serve a probable, feasible, practical function at the time it's conceived. Being from Northern Urgith, de Morris has a slight accent, made to players or DM, Zazagaba * German, Prussian, Austrian halted but in precise common. She speaks in a melodic but very curt and polite matter-of-fact way, switching to a harsh rasping tone when she is angry or upset. She speaks many languages, can read diagrams and maps, and can also sing and imitate people she observes. She has no desire to settle down or root as her mother did, as she is still young, although she does not like to walk as far as nomad Kendergo from the cities, so she prefers to ride, or fly, or climb. She likes to get back to enjoy breakfast and then later evening nap before tea. YA. This I do. I will not have myself messing up my new shoes and then ask Fuge to help them off and ask darling Pez to go dunk them in rain barrel to clean then dry to sit on sill. Astrid likes clothes and shoes, and spends a lot of time modifying her garments in interesting ways. Astrid is somewhat pampered in that she's spent much time within the protected confines of the university, albeit it doesn't stop her from getting into mischief. She likes things that make toast and tea, cooks her meals, makes her taller, enables her to fly, or gets rid of pests. She carries a whippet, the common pole flail carried by female Kenda outdoors. She is also fond of wearing a wide brimmed hat and cape or her magnifying monocle. Other times she braids her hair like female Kendamaids have done for generations in a Kendamaiden's braid. This serves also as a multifunctional tool against would-be abductors, as Astrid hides files, keys, blades, pencils and picks in her hair braids for easy access. Astrid is usually not seen far from her assigned chaperone and bodyguard Pez, Petsapaz, Burrfoot, an island * Kenda who also doubles as her security and Kendaman at arms. The two are not romantically linked. Pez has 3 wives. 2 Skaglins, kids, a piece all me riches go to M. Pez and Astrid adore each other however, and Pez defends her honor whenever possible. Where she goes, she insists he often follow. She always consults with Pez about anything potentially dangerous. Dangerous or not, grim or horrifying results do not deter her from an honest inquiry. This Ember, Red Dragon. I must meet him. A great many things this fearsome WIRM can tell us and make us tremble terribly wonderful with his immense dragon presence. It's a dragon Astrid. It will kill and eat you. Bah. I will not be denied this chance to converse with this WRM if I can, as I must know how he contrives the flames from within his guts to spew forth fire. It's a dragon. Yes. And I must know, adjusts her monocle and raises her little nose gingerly. This, I must know. I shall also ask him why such a foul temperament. Perhaps it is irritation of WRM's tummy from eating stupid goblins. He complains and growls, yes, that he is a dragon and perhaps his tummy hurts. Mayhaps he eat too much. Kenderpack as Sir Magier once did, act. It will make humans constipated, ho ho ho. As such a human cannot eat Kenderpack, although I make best Kenderpack. Father weeps when he tastes, perhaps from the rich flavor of the honeydew in the recipe, or perhaps he sneezes from the dash of red capsicum powder, act. This is not cinnamon. Astrid holds her little nose and sneezes. I must improve this recipe, until further notice. Skills. As workplace accidents were quite common around the university with the tinker gnomes and wizards about, Astrid became adept at applying remedies that sometimes actually work. 65% chance, everything from burns to an upset stomach, with the after effects not killing or debilitating her patients, making her a proficient healer of sorts with proper preparation and study. Astrid is also an acrobat, often performing in many of Kendamor's regional plays and traveling shows to raise spirits in times of woe. Astrid's mother, Dame Damaris Metwinger Trapspringer, Empress of the North, was once betrothed by Kender custom to one Tasslehoff Burrfoot. Astrid would be Tasslehoff's cousin or niece. The marriage was annulled prior to the matter being concluded during the events of Kendamor. Astrid's mother is a diva who cares little for her daughter's aspirations so much as her own. Her father Trapspringer, although a Kender hero, is aware his daughter is young and advised her to go travelling with Tasslehoff and Pez to see the world.
And there you go. I don't know about that voice. Like I said, let's see here. Let's bulk it back just a little bit. Alright. Let's retry it just one good time just to see what it sounds like on somebody else's voice. There's Ryan. Yeah, that's the one we were using. Of course, Sonia's okay too, but let Ryan read it again. Okay. Alright.
Astrid Damaris Trapspringer. Kendermaid Engineer a Tinker 1 ST Class *, Cleric 6th level, and Hilo Ambassador to Burrfoot and all of Abyssinia. Secondary skills, Acrobat, Alchemy and Math, Botany. Age, 19, 40, height, 4 feet 0 inches, precisely. She checked. Only if she stands on her tips of her feet like so can she squeeze an inch star. Hair, blonde eyes, green STR, 10 Dex, 19 Con, 16 INT, 15 WIS, 17 CHA, 13 HP, 29 AC, 6. Birthplace, the Moons. It's a long story * funny, but when her mama tells it is so boring, so she prefers to talk of other things. YA. Current residence, Burrfoot Common, a suburb of Kendamor, but grew up in northern Urgoth, Hilo, at the Gnomish Kender Academy of Strange and Wonderful Things with her friends the elves and gnomes. It is silly place, YA. Silly but serious in that we will change the world someday for the better of all life of KRYNN. Astrid Damaris is the daughter of Damaris Metwinger and Trapspringer Burrfoot. She was born at the very end of the War of the Lance, although not on KRYNN. Her father had brought a very pregnant Damaris back with him from one of KRYNN's moons, and the child was born literally as a spell-jamming ship crashed into the lower atmosphere, settling in the exact same place as a historic landmark, and comically crushing an absolute tyrant in the process, hence liberating Hilo once again to rise as a nation. Damaris grew up spoiled, but extremely well educated due to her insatiable curiosity to improvise and improve on things to make life easier, or the simple joy of discovery. She is impulsive, impatient, sometimes arrogant, but never overbearing to the point of being unlikable. She is a Kendermaid capable of building and combining all sorts of wondrous magical contraptions and gadgets due to being an engineer. Often her gadgets are Rube Goldberg or mousetrap type machines that serve little function as a Mere novelty, but serve a probable, feasible, practical function at the time it's conceived. Being from Northern Ergoth de Morris has a slight accent, note to players or DM, Zazagaber * German and Prussian, Austrian halted but in precise common, she speaks in a melodic but very curt and polite matter-of-fact way, switching to a harsh rasping tone when she is angry or upset. She speaks many languages, can read diagrams and maps, and can also sing and imitate people she observes. She has no desire to settle down or root as her mother did as she is still young, although she does not like to walk as far as nomad Kenda go from the cities, so she prefers to ride, or fly, or climb. She likes to get back to enjoy breakfast and then later evening nap before tea, ya. This I do. I will not have myself messing up my new shoes and then ask Fuge to help them off and ask darling Pez to go dunk them in rain barrel to clean, then dry to sit on sill. Astrid likes clothes and shoes, and spends a lot of time modifying her garments in interesting ways. Astrid is somewhat pampered in that she's spent much time within the protected confines of the university, albeit it doesn't stop her from getting into mischief. She likes things that make toast and tea, cooks her meals, makes her taller, enables her to fly, or gets rid of pests. She carries a whippik, a common pole flail carried by female Kenda outdoors. She is also fond of wearing a wide brimmed hat and cape or her magnifying monocle. Other times she braids her hair like female Kendamaids have done for generations in a Kendamaiden's braid. This serves also as a multifunctional tool against would-be abductors, as Astrid hides files, keys, blades, pencils and picks in her hair braids for easy access. Astrid is usually not seen far from her assigned chaperone and bodyguard Pez, Petsapaz, Burrfoot, an island * Kenda who also doubles as her security and Kendaman at arms. The two are not romantically linked. Pez has 3 wives. 2 Skaglins, kids, a piece all me riches go to em. Pez and Astrid adore each other however, and Pez defends her honor whenever possible. Where she goes, she insists he often follow. She always consults with Pez about anything potentially dangerous. Dangerous or not, grim or horrifying results do not deter her from an honest inquiry. This Ember, Red Dragon. I must meet him. A great many things this fearsome WIRM can tell us and make us tremble terribly wonderful with his immense dragon presence. It's a dragon, Astrid. It will kill and eat you. Bah! I will not be denied this chance to converse with this WIRM if I can, as I must know how he contrives the flames from within, his guts to spew forth fire. It's a dragon. Yes. And I must know, adjusts her monocle and raises her little nose gingerly. This, I must know. I shall also ask him why such a foul temperament. Perhaps it is irritation of WIRM's tummy from eating stupid goblins. He complains and growls, yes, but he is a dragon and perhaps his tummy hurts. Mayhaps he eat too much. Kendapak as Sir Magia once did, act. It will make humans constipated, ho ho ho. As such a human cannot eat Kendapak, although I make best Kendapak. Father weeps when he tastes, perhaps from the rich flavor of the honeydew in the recipe, or perhaps he sneezes from the dash of red capsicum powder, act. This is not cinnamon. Astrid holds her little nose and sneezes. I must improve this recipe, until further notice. Skills, as workplace accidents were quite common around the university with the tinker gnomes and wizards about, Astrid became adept at applying remedies that sometimes actually work. 65% chance, everything from burns to an upset stomach, with the after effects not killing or debilitating her patients, making her a proficient healer of sorts with proper preparation and study. Astrid is also an acrobat, often performing in many of Kendamor's regional plays and traveling shows to raise spirits in times of woe. Astrid's mother, Dame de Morris Metwinger Trapsbringer, Empress of the North, was once betrothed by Kenda custom to one Tasslehoff Burrfoot. Astrid would be Tasslehoff's cousin or niece. The marriage was annulled prior to the matter being concluded during the events of Kendamore. Astrid's mother is a diva who cares little for her daughter's aspirations so much as her own. Her father Trapsbringer, although a Kenda hero, is aware his daughter is young and advised her to go traveling with Tasslehoff and Pez to see the world.
Alright, y'all. Alright, I got one more roll here. It's just an idea rolling around. Okay, hold on just a second here. Let me get my shit together here. I'm going to roll you one more here. Put this in your pipe and smoke it. Just a second. Roll that back out there. Hold on just a second here, y'all. We got this. We got this rolling. We are rolling this real good. Yeah. That's it. Shit. I didn't click it right. There it is. There we go. Okay. Oh boy. Alright. Hold on just a second here, guys. Let me make sure that it's focused here. Just a second here, guys, and we'll get rolling. Let me get my shit together here. Okay. What? Oh, I know what I got to do. Hold on. I think. Hold on.
There are no good draconians. Caramorn stammered Rayist, then how do you explain him? Caramorn eased the window open to a crack to reveal Tars and Astrid on the lawn talking amicably with a tall creature resembling a humanoid blue dragon, but weren't dragons of that color evil? As the Sivak were mockeries of silver dragons, twisted by the corruption of dark rites to resemble men, hence weaker and with all of their vices as well, this particular being stood out, as it did not give off an aura of menace as many Sivak draconians he'd encountered in the past. This draconian, despite his yellow eyes, odd speech pronunciations and the fact he was clearly of blue dragon in origin, was rather articulate and dressed in clothes. It seemed to be doing much of the talking to counter the trio of Kenda's rapid questions, as beside him the woman who resembled a younger Kitiara stared sullenly, but attentively to what the dragon was telling them, as it seemed she, with her recent amnesiac condition, may also benefit from the conversation. She stopped only once to accept an apple Pez handed her before looking directly at Raistlin and Caramorn peering at her through the window. She took a bite of it. Little emotion on her face, as if chewing it was encouraging a memory. Our half-sister, as this appears to be, has been reborn. This creature is none other than Ski, the once companion appointed to her by the dragon armies. Yes indeed, I had once told you Antika these creatures were created from the blackest of rites, as they were sired from corrupted eggs of good dragons. This creature, well, I cannot say as to how its creation came to incorporate into the being we see here. Its creation is from outside Krynn, curious as it has claimed to me to have spent some of its time in Sigil. This Sigil again. Rayist. What are you yammering about? This fever dream Tars had? Now you're doing it. Tars has a glowing blue gem in his chest. Says Fizban put it there, the two of you pop up here along with a girl Kenda, and another Kenda that's almost twice the size of Tars. Geez, look at the arms on that little fella. What are they doing here? And namely, what is SHE doing here if she is indeed our long-deceased older half-sister? Rayist. How did this happen? Does Tanis know? Tanis knows, Raistlin said flatly. However, it is imperative SHE does not know of Tanis. The more susceptible to his presence at such an early point could trigger resurgent memories, and he and I have agreed that we cannot let that happen. Her companion has been her steward, I suspect, for far longer than we can fathom in her current state of being. The Kenda knows this as well, he is well aware of the dangers after our time in Sigil. But what about Tars? He's gonna tell her, wait a minute, what did you do to Tars? Why does he have a glowing blue gem in his chest like Beram did? Not my doing, I can assure you. Raistlin let a half-smirk come across his lips before nodding to indicate that indeed Fizban had come along as well. Our little friend has been running around the multiverse beyond the scope of what we fathomed was possible for any of us. The Kenda has once again enabled us to see just the right amount of trouble one can get into. Yes, Caramorn, it's a blue gem in his chest, and how it got there is a story unto itself. You yourself feel out of place in this world, do you not? Is it because we cannot yet find Tika? Or perhaps it is because you yourself, my brother, did not exist in this paradigm until I brought you here. Yes, Caramorn, you've been dead in this world. I grabbed you from another paradigm. It's why you don't remember everything exactly. Neither does Tasslehoff Burrfoot. You see, all of us, since Barovia, have been altered. I'm not sure why or to the extent as to how much, but we've all changed. Karamorn ducked out of the Vistani wagon, now parked snugly under a large cherry blossom in full bloom, oddly enough considering the surroundings. He glanced up and winced as he touched a blossom, only to have it come away in his hand slightly bloody, only to fade * away immediately after. The piece of cherry blossom acquired from the Revenant Samurai in Winter's Breath *. The three Kender were now showing Ski and Kitiara their balancing act they'd used to sneak into the castle disguised in as a creature in armor. And so we sneak into the castle like this, why eh? Astrid exclaimed while insisting that Pez stop shaking their pyramid as a joke, while Tars giggled as well. You see, Pez is the muscle, Tars is the mouth, and either BRAINS, of disoperation. Steady, you filthy duckweasel, foul naughty boys, you will tip us over. Astrid squealed as their pyramid, not held steady by the confines of armor this time, toppled to the ground in a giggling heap. The Kender immediately resumed their pyramid as if nothing happened. This time, however, Astrid made sure Tars knew it by pinching his ears with her feet a bit while on his shoulders. Tasslehoff, red-faced from exertion and lack of air, held on even if Pez was surely strong enough to keep all three of them aloft for a time, walked around in a circle with two other Kender hoisted above him like nothing.
Pretty good, huh? This is something I've been working on. Alright, y'all. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh! Okay. But anyway, have a little gander on that if you would. It sounds to me like it's gonna be pretty good. Alright, let me get my shit together here, guys. Close that out. Yeah, we're gonna leave that on because for some reason it gave me that screwy ass. Okay. Go back to chatting there for a minute. Alright, hold on just a second here, guys. Where I was talking about Northern Urgoth and Sancrist Isle. Okay. That's what's in that DragonStrike game. That's the first level that starts out. Oh shit, I'll run it. I don't care. Just a second. The damn thing load real quick. Alright, it's got to do the GOG bullshit. And I'd say GOG ain't been updated, so it's liable to do a bunch of bullshit, guys. If it locks me for a minute, I apologize. It's probably going to want to do its bullshit, but no, it ain't. No, it ain't. Let me just close this down here. Put this down here and run it in the background. Just a second here, guys. Same stupid shit. Come on, fuckers. I ain't got all day. There we go. Nice shot. Sometimes you can dive, and then you can pick up speed. They do a remake. Do it like Century, Age of Ashes, and yes, I got on and played that the other week. You can watch it. I've got it on there. It's a good game. It's not bad. But there's more to do. Wish you could like fuck shit up as a dragon and like burn shit. That would be cool. Come here, you son of a bitch. Got it. Hey man, nice shot. Shit bird. She said, don't tell me that. She said, why you acting fruity? You don't stick your booty. I heard it rap something. Oh! Look at that shit. Actually, I don't care where you stick it. You stick it wherever. You ain't sticking it to me. Nah, that's an old rap. It's fucking nonsense. It's a bunch of bullshit is what it is. Play a little bit of the game, don't you? Oh god, it takes him forever to get to that fucking dragon. It's a black dragon, you gotta face off against it and try to hit it before it hits you. There's my views. See, I wish I could do that with a... I guess I can program a joystick and use the hat to do that with, but... She said, don't tell me that. Said, is that why you're acting fruity? You don't stick your Peter in another man's booty. Or you don't stick your wiener in another man's booty. Whatever. It was the 80s, dude. Okay, guys. Bada 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 bam. How you like them apples? Da-da, da-da, da-da. I don't know if it was worth the shit or not, y'all, but you know what? I'm having fun, and like I said, I'm running out of time. I'm using the best of my time, the best I can, and anything else I'm not too worried about. There ain't much I can control about it. You see what I'm doing here? Alright, this morning what I did was I went and I printed out some PDFs. Okay, they're sitting over there. I got to take them upstairs. And once again, y'all, like I said, I've done these. Let me show you here some of these that I've done. What I started doing with my PDFs, instead of trying to bind them, because, yeah, I can do that with some of these smaller ones, and it works pretty good. But what I decided to do with some of the smaller PDFs, rather than use all that shit to bind them and all that damn work, we take the smaller books and we make a binder for them, but you do like TSR used to do. And the maps and shit, you laminate those on you print them out on cardstock and you laminate them, okay? But this and this, okay, it's like a cover plate. You got your front right here and your back, okay? And then you would just take your maps and then you just sandwich it in between this. See, I've got the original of Dragons of Flame, okay? And it's a little more than just a folder and something like this, okay? That's it, right? Looks really good, don't it? Well, I'll do a video on that, showing how we're doing that. I just gotta get my stuff upstairs. Problem is, guys, I can't see, and I don't want to trip and fall down the damn steps. I know some of y'all think it'd be funny, but no, I don't. I don't think it's funny at all. But see, okay, take a look, guys. This is the original of Dragons of Flame, okay? Take a look. I've showed you this before. I've probably showed this on another stream. But see here, okay? It was a little more than a folder, okay? So, that's what I decided to do with, now you have to have a laminating machine, it's a laminate, but you just put it out, you print it out on cardstock, and then you laminate the damn thing. And you can do front and back laminates. This one's, well, these are single sheet, but like I said, I did some front and back that were laminated. And I did a bunch of Dragonlance like that. But that's pretty cool, huh? Alright, guys. I think that about concludes our Dragonlance stream for the day. I want to thank any and all of y'all for tuning in. My alerts aren't showing up, but thank you, Nora Charlotte, Honest Gamer, Mildo, Sammy Fox, Anime Titty Fan, or Jaden Molinov, and Jessica Austin for subscribing. If you are still subscribed, you might just been subscribed to the Twitch drop. It's okay, whatever. I'm going to port this over to YouTube. Like I said, guys, this content is free OGL content for you all to incorporate into your Dragonlance stuff. I don't really care, as long as you give me some credit for it, whatever. Margaret Wise, Trace Even, you all are more than welcome to use it too. Whatever, you know, it's nothing real new. It's based on shit that's been, excuse my language, but it's based on stuff that's been out for 30 years. Okay, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel or break the mold. It's based on lore that come out, 30 years ago. There is a lot having to do with, like, Spelljammer and Kindermore, okay? I know very little bit about Spelljammer myself. I mean, I studied some of it as far as Kryn Space, but I've still got some studying up on it to do before I get to the aspects of it. But, hell, I know more about Planescape than I do about any of that other shit. Well, quite a bit about Planescape. Like I said, I gotta finish playing Planescape Torment. I'm gonna get to Ravel. Hell, I've been promising people to go back to Ravel. Shit, I ain't done it. I know. Alright, guys. I do one thing at a time. Like I said, I'm going blind. I hope I don't go blind, but like I said, I'm trying to do one thing at a time. Yeah, that's, that in my mind is Astrid Pez right there. Actually, she would talk with a German accent. So Prussian or German, like Zsa Zsa Gabor. Yeah, I know the computer didn't read it out too well, but Yeah. Think of Zsa Zsa Gabor. Look up some clips of Zsa Zsa. Young Zsa Zsa. Hell, she was 35 when she first appeared on television in the 50s. But Green Acres, okay? That's what I thought of. I don't know. That and those old EC comics that they used to draw. Rick Altergott, who did Doofus, he could draw like that as well. All right. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, you can tell I'm a Dragonlance fan. Okay? All the prints on the walls and all that. Yep. All right, guys. But anyway, this was done with love for the Dragonlance community. This is for you guys to enjoy and use, and your source material, whatever, fine. Just give me some credit for it if you can. When I'm dead and gone, at least maybe that's just one thing that my worthless ass could contribute. You know, it's been half my life anyway. And the way I was introduced to it was not conventional, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's you gotta love something to be able to have such a tumultuous history with it. Go subscribe to my channel and look on it, like I said. Alright, guys, I'm going to port this over to YouTube and I'll holler at you a little bit later. There's a world outside, okay? And while I've still got the going to get, I'm going to go out there. And I'm actually going to go outside. Enjoy myself. I'm smoke a little weeds out in the backyard, drink me something. To drink, that's it. I don't drink anymore. I just a glass of tea or something. Alright, guys. We'll holler at you a little bit later. But this has been an Engine Joe broadcast. That has been my Dragonlance book called, well, I don't know what it's going to be called, but I've called this project called Burrfoot. Okay? I don't know what it's going to be called. I don't know. I may be dead and gone before anything comes out of it. But like I said, y'all want to help out or whatever, get in on something, we'll figure something out. But like I said, the stuff that I've bequeathed is for the Dragonlance community. Y'all are welcome to use it. OGL. Alright? Alright, guys. We'll holler at you a little bit later. I gotta get off of here. Alright. This is Engine Joe. Roll on.